Oh, hi, Gary. You're on mute there.
Hello.
Hi, Gary.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, I think, okay.
Good man. Great.
Joining us already. So I had the video on whilst we were waiting for...
Oh, brilliant. Look at all these attendees. Yeah, okay, fine. So I've got my presentation ready to go. If you want to do the introduction and kick off and then just sort of say that, and then I go straight on with the pre-departure kind of thing.
Okay, perfect. We'll give them give people a couple more minutes to join. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Already, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you what, if we, I've just got to go downstairs very quickly and check that Maya's okay.
Okay.
But yeah, so if you do like maybe run that video and then we'll get started in about sort of, what, 3-4 minutes?
Yeah, fine. Yeah, so for those of you just joining, just to let you know that Gary will be with us for the presentation in just a couple of minutes. So while we're waiting for people to join, I'll run through the rather nice video of the city of Bristol that those who are already on just saw. It gives us a nice idea of the city of Bristol and the university. The university, just to let everybody know, is right in the centre of the city of Bristol. So all the things you see on this video are what you see in and around the university. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen now and just say a quick welcome to everybody. Thanks for joining today's webinar. With us today, I'm David Thomas, the Latin America representative for the University of Bristol, and from Bristol itself, the Market Development Manager for the Americas, Gary Coulter, who's going to give us the presentation today. If you have any questions whilst we're going through the presentation, you can put those in the Q&A section and we'll answer those at the end. But thanks everybody for joining us today. We've got a great group of people on today, Gary, so over to you. Thanks very much.
All right, thank you very much. So yes, as David said, my name's Gary. I am currently in Bristol. I work at the University of Bristol, and I'm here to tell you a little bit about the university. So I'm going to talk a little bit to you today because I know that a good number of you have already either made applications or are thinking of making applications. So I'm going to, while we might talk about that aspect a little bit, I'm going to talk a little bit more about sort of Bristol, the university and the city, but then also a little bit about what you might expect when you arrive at the university as a student. So with that in mind, I'm going to share my screen. Let's just go for this here. That should be working. I always have to click about 3 times to do this, but this should be fine if I change that, press that, and then press this. That should be full screen. David, give me a thumbs up if that's full screen. Brilliant. Okay, so as I said, my name's Gary. Now, for those of you that I'm sure many of you are aware, some of you are not so aware, the University of Bristol is a very, very good university. We are very highly ranked in the world. We are currently number 58 in the whole world, which is obviously brilliant. And we're ranked 9th in the UK. So it's an academically excellent university. And what that means really is that well, the real benefit of that is on top of just world-class education is also the fact that some of the world's biggest employers want our students. So our graduates employability rating, the sort of the amount of students that go into very good paying jobs with sort of big recognizable companies is very high. And we are actually the 4th most targeted university in the UK by the UK's top employers. And of course, those top employers will include, as I'm sure you will imagine, a lot of sort of multinational companies as well, particularly if you think around the worlds of like finance, business, etc. And yes, we're very, very highly ranked across all of our subjects. People often say to me, you know, what subjects are you good at, or what subjects is Bristol not good at? Well, the honest answer is that we're really good at everything that we do. We are one of the world's best universities for that very reason. But the other thing that Bristol has that's a huge selling point is the city. Now, lots of universities in the UK are very highly ranked and they can boast really, really good sort of, you know, ratings and scores and, you know, and sort of surveys on their quality of their research, etc. But not many cities can boast being in such a fantastic city as Bristol can. So the city of Bristol is in the southwest of the UK. So everybody knows that London is the capital of England. London is in the southeast and Bristol is in the southwest. So we're only 90 minutes away from London. And that's just to give you an idea of how close we are. It's very, very close. And obviously the UK itself is very, very small, particularly compared to sort of a huge country like Mexico. But the city itself has won lots and lots and lots of awards and accolades over the last few years. So as you can see from the picture there, it's got a beautiful harbour side. It's very colourful. It's very green. And it's won lots of different awards. I think in the last 6 years, it's been voted the best city to live in the UK 4 times, which is pretty impressive. It's been voted, won lots of different awards, things like Kindest City. It was the Green Capital of Europe in 2015. And you'll see from some of the pictures slightly later, there's lots of sort of parks and green spaces. Very eco-friendly city. It's a very cool, arty city. There's lots of music, arts, lots of sort of film culture in the city, and it is a very, very popular city with young people, particularly students. And there is a huge sort of student, young population in the city, which gives it a really fantastic, progressive sense. So when you arrive at Bristol, whatever stage you are in the application or when you come to Bristol, what we really want to do is support our students. And a lot of students aren't maybe not so familiar with the sort of the levels of support that you would get in the UK, as opposed to maybe sort of other systems around the world. But the UK offers absolutely fantastic student support, and Bristol is no different. So typically this will be the sort of timeline that you would go through. So you would make your application, you'd receive an offer from the university, and when you're making your application, obviously most of you'd be, I'm sure all of you will be applied, using the support and help of Anglo-Latino to make sure you do a good application. You get your offer from the university, you meet the offer conditions, and then once you've done that and you have your confirmed place, there is then obviously a process that, again, Anglo-Latino and others will support you through. But that includes things like applying for your accommodation, receiving an offer and accepting that, applying for your visa. So you get a CAS number, which again, Anglo-Latino and sort of the team there will really support you to do and help you through. And then you book your travel to Bristol, you arrive in Bristol, and then you start your journey as a student. Now that is a very general sort of specific timeline that most students will follow. And when you arrive in Bristol, there is support right from the word go. Now, one of the things that you may be thinking of that is obviously very, very relevant today is what has been the university's approach to COVID? Well, I can tell you that this year has been obviously very, very different to many of the years that we've faced in the past. Obviously, nobody has ever had to deal with a pandemic of this scale or this magnitude. In the past, and so a lot of us have had to adapt and change, and we have provided huge support for our students during this period. So one of the things that we've done is we've introduced what we call blended learning. So what that does is that means that we allow students to still have the experiences of sort of small group teaching and working with other students in maybe smaller, easily sort of socially distanced groups, but also provided a lot of support through online lectures, online learning, recordings of lectures and seminars and sessions so the students can go back. And you can, as you can see, that includes a huge combination of things. So you've got sort of small group, live online learning, lots of different software options for students so they can use that, recorded sessions, self-study tasks, and the university's actually got a really good video to demonstrate that, which you can see here and we can send later. Lectures and seminars. So typically what would happen in a UK university, and we expect that this will happen next year, we expect that things will be back to normal, is that you would have several large lectures with anything from say maybe 50 up to over 100 people in a lecture hall, but then you'd have lots of seminars and tutorials where you're working in smaller groups with academic staff, and so you get to engage with them, ask them a lot of different questions. Obviously this year we had to change, all of our lectures were online. Many of these included sort of breakout rooms so the students could work in small groups even though it was virtuals, and our seminars, tutorials, practicals, lab work, field trips, obviously they all had to cater to the sort of the current climate and do that. And so in some cases they were still able to do that live, in some cases they were online. It really just depended on the course and the program and the staffing that we had, but we managed to make sure that the student experience was still outstanding, which is obviously very, very important. So talking about the support services you get, I meet many students in both North and South America who maybe tell me that at their universities they don't maybe get as much support as they would do in the UK. And at Bristol, we have a huge range of support. So one of the biggest things I like to talk about first is the Global Lounge. Now, at the University of Bristol, about 20% of all our staff and students are international. And so it is not a case that you would come to a university like Bristol and you would feel different or isolated, or you would feel that you're sort of not welcome. That is not the case at all. All of our international students play a huge role in our university, are very welcomed, and things like the Global Lounge is a really fantastic centre where you can go, easily meet people, easily make friends, and get engaged in clubs and societies and activities, and just so that you're settled and you feel very welcome at the university. The Global Lounge is basically a cultural hub that we have created, and there's thousands of events that go on from different parts of the world. So if you were interested in, if you wanted to, organize, say, one evening like a Mexican food evening, you could go and do that. You could go along to the Indian Bollywood Society. You could go along to sort of a Thai dancing evening. There's thousands of events that go on, and it's just a really good place to go, mix, meet other people. It's not just for international students, it's for everybody, and it allows people to come and make friends, feel welcome at the university, feel settled, and feel happy more than anything else. And then on top of that, we have all the traditional support services that we offer. So we have things like counselling and peer mentoring services. So those are obviously students who maybe need any additional help or support. And some of those services actually take place in your accommodation as well. So we will have people who live in the accommodation who are sort of your contacts if you have any problems or you want to talk to someone or you need any help or advice. There is obviously the Bristol Student Union, which is you know, a society that is, well, it's the overarching student body that is completely run and organised by the students. I work in the international office and we are always there to sort of help and support students. And then there's all the different then there's all the different sort of support that we provide. So things like health services, well-being advisors, careers services. If you want to go and talk to someone about your future career or applying for jobs, you want to help and support doing that. Then of course the funding office that deals with things like all the financial side of things. And all of these are available to all of our students. So what we do is we make sure that you know, all of our students, whether they're home or international, feel that they have all the support that they need to be successful. And career support is something I'd like to highlight above all, above sort of everything else, because we do offer really, really good career support. Now, one of the reasons we're able to do that is because we are a world-class university that has world-class facilities and world-class students. So a lot of employers want, you know, to meet our students because they're so good. But we can also offer you sort of basic support. So things like helping with your resume, and helping with any maybe job applications or job interviews and giving you training and guidance for how those may go and what you might need to do. You can go along to careers events so that you can meet future employers, do some networking, meet people and look at opportunities for the future. And then the university also offers a range of things like internships, mentoring schemes, coaching and volunteering opportunities, things that look very good on a resume, as well as things like the Bristol Plus Awards. And you are able to work during your time at the university. Under your student visa, you are allowed to work for 20 hours a week during your term time, and 40 hours a week during the holidays. And jobs are quite easy to find in sort of a very big popular city like Bristol. These are often jobs that would be things like maybe working in a restaurant or a cafe or a bar or a pub or something like that. These are often not sort of, you know, super high paying financial jobs, but they are very typical jobs that students will take to earn a little bit of extra money, support their activities while they're with us. And then the sort of the more social side of it with sort of sports and societies, we have over 400 different clubs and societies. We have a Latin American society where you can go and meet other Latin American students. If you wanted to start the Mexican society specifically, and one did not exist, you could find some other Mexican students and approach the student union and you'd be able to start your own Mexican society. There's all sorts of different sports and clubs and activities. I mean, there are literally too many for me to name, but you imagine all the big sports and activities are there. The student union's undergone a huge refurbishment, and you've got fantastic access to these clubs, these societies, and it's very cheap. It only costs a few pounds to join these clubs and societies. And so maybe you've decided one day you'd like to try something really different like fishing or archery. Well, you'd be able to go and join that society, meet people who'd be able to help and support you, and come and take part in those activities. Now, accommodation is something that we get asked about a lot, and obviously it's very, very prevalent for a lot of students. They want to talk about accommodation. They want to know, will I have somewhere to live? Will I be safe when I'm there? Well, again, we have accommodation for all students, and particularly for international students, accommodation is available. You would need to have firmly accepted your place at the University of Bristol, and you would need to have that would need to make sure that that is unconditional. So you've met all the requirements, whether they're academic or English language or deposit or whatever. And once that is the case, you can then apply for accommodation. International students are guaranteed accommodation in their first year, whether they're undergraduate or postgraduates. Now, that is assuming that you obviously go through the right processes and apply on time and fill in all the right forms and do all the right things. But again, that's something that you can be supported with through Anglo Latino in Mexico, and they can sort of steer you in the right direction. And the university has an accommodation office which you can contact for help and advice at any time. Typically, our offers are made towards, this gives you an idea of what was happening last year. So typically our offers would be made around sort of the middle to the end of August. That's when we would offer out the accommodation. You can certainly apply before that for the accommodation and get your, and I would encourage you to do so. You would apply and say, these are what I'm looking for. And on the University of Bristol's website, you just type in accommodation and you can actually see photos of all the different types of accommodation, all the different prices, all the different distances from campus, whether they provide food or not, or don't provide food. There's a whole range. And then your university would typically start towards the end of September, beginning of October every year. And that is obviously a little bit later than some other international systems, but that's when you usually arrive in the UK. So to give you a little idea of what our accommodation like, this here is the university in the middle, the blue section in the sort of the middle of this screen. And you can see all the different residences here. So you can see some of them are around the city centre, which is just to the south of this blue section. Some of them are over in sort of Clifton, which is a very nice part of the city. And then in the north here, to the north sort of west of your picture, you can see there are sort of 6 large undergraduate accommodation blocks in a very beautiful area you can see with huge green spaces called the Downs. So they're very, very popular with our students. So arriving in Bristol, you arrive, what happens? Well, in order to arrive, you're going to need a visa. Again, Anglo Latino and other people will support you with that, but we also have a visa office that helps and support you to get your visa. You would, most students will need a Tier 4 visa to study in the UK. And to get a Tier 4 visa, you need to have met all the conditions of your offer. And then the university will send you a CAS number, CAS, which you would then use to apply for your visa. There's lots of information online about this on our website, but also Anglo Latino support all of their students to apply for the visa. So that's not something that you need to worry about right now. It's something that when it comes to it, you will receive the support that you need to get that visa. And then, as you can see, as I mentioned before, you arrive towards the end of September, beginning of October. That's the standard arrival time every year. Those are obviously last year's dates. And once you arrive, the university will actually provide a lot of support straight away. So we have complimentary transport and sort of meet and greet services available at both Heathrow and Bristol Airport. Yes, that's right. Bristol has its own airports, so you can fly into Bristol if you want, which obviously makes going from the airport to the university much easier. So again, you can just register for that before you arrive. As long as you arrive within obviously the right time frames, you can register for that. So when you get off the plane and you're tired, everything's a little bit unfamiliar, you can see one of our student ambassadors, as you can see on the picture on the right here, wearing the t-shirt, and they will sort of meet you and say, hello, welcome to England. This is where you need to go. This is where the buses are. And again, they support you all the way to make sure that you arrive safe in the University of Bristol. So another question that comes up from students sort of pre-departure and before they think of coming is, what would I need to bring with me to the university? Obviously, you need to bring yourself and maybe something like a laptop and some basic essentials. But there are often questions around this. Now, the university, again, on the Accommodation Office website, provides a comprehensive list of what you do and do not need to bring. One of the big things I always like to say straight away is you do not need to bring bedding. So that is sort of sheets or pillows or things that go on your bed, because these are obviously very big, they're very bulky, they take up a lot of space in your suitcase, and the university can provide all of those for their students. So those are things that you do not need to bring. We can provide information on electricity supplies, general essential items that students would need, so things like medication, laptops, mobile phones, obviously your general sort of clothing. And then there's other sort of areas that they will cover, things you might or might not want to bring. A warm coat and is something that is advisable, but it is something that you can buy in the UK. And the same with things like umbrellas and alarm clocks, little things like that, that maybe will take up quite a lot of space that you don't necessarily need. But obviously, one of the important things will be the documentation. So when you get on the plane and you are arriving at the university, you'll need to make sure you're carrying with you in very easy, accessible location all of your documentation. So obviously your passport, but things like your visa documents, your letters, your university offer letter, so that when you get to the immigration desk, you can then they say, okay, you know, hi, welcome, what's your purpose here? You can say, yes, I'm going to study a course at the University of Bristol. Here's my offer letter from the university. Here's my visa. And it just makes sure that there are no problems at all. And again, the university will email you in advance to give you further advice on that. A few final little sort of points. You don't really need to bring things like adapter plugs or crockery or cooking items, because those are all available here. You can order student room packs. So when you get your accommodation and you're settled, you can actually in advance order packs, which include things like bedding, cleaning equipment, bathroom packs, kitchen packs, and cooking packs. So all of that is provided for you. You do not need to carry that with you. And again, those can all come from, as you see there, some of the websites here available, and these will all be emailed to you. And that's sort of that sort of covers all of the things you might need to bring. And that just leaves finally for me to let you sort of give you an idea of what the city is like. So to finish this, I'll talk you through some pictures. So this is obviously taken in the evening. This is Park Street. Now, Park Street is actually, you cannot see from this picture, but it's actually a very steep hill like this. And at the bottom on the right, you can see the cathedral, which is obviously beautiful, beautiful cathedral that's lit up at night. And then you can sort of, as you go down Park Street and curve round, this will take you to the harbour, and you can see just a little bit of the water behind the cathedral. If you look here, that's the water, and the harbour comes right the way into Bristol, and Bristol's really, really beautiful. The university is about 2 minutes away from Park Street and the city centre, so it's very, very easy. You do not need a car, you do not need you don't really need to use any kind of public transport. Most of our students either walk or use a bicycle. And this is a picture of the harbour itself, obviously taken during the day. As you can see, very beautiful, lots of active options for water sports. And then some pictures of the university campus. So we are a very old traditional university. And so we have a lot of kind of like traditional English looking buildings like the ones on the left. But we also have lots of modern facilities like the Life Sciences Centre and, things like the Sports Centre that we have here. These have both undergone multi-million-pound renovations in the last few years. This is one of the most famous shots of Bristol, which is the Clifton Suspension Bridge. And every year we have a fantastic international hot air balloon fiesta, which takes place in Bristol. And the whole sky sort of fills up with hot air balloons, and it's a really good party. Everyone goes to it. The party happens in the day with lots of families, and then in the evening it turns into more of a big festival with sort of live music and what they call the night glow, where the whole sky is filled up with the balloons all lit up, which is really cool. This is the campus. So this building, this tall building in the middle of your picture, you can see this is the Wills Memorial Building, one of the most famous university buildings. That actually is home to the Faculty of Social Sciences and Law, and contains lots of sort of law school buildings. And everything from that building there to the top of your picture, that is all University of Bristol buildings and accommodation and sort of classes and lecture halls and everything. So you can get a really good sense of how we're sat in the city. And then Park Street is just in front of that building, as you can see. Some final photos. This is Woodland Road, which is where the Arts and Social Sciences and Law faculties have some of their departments as well. This is Royal Fort Gardens. It's a really beautiful gardens right in the middle of the university. And you can see the Wills Memorial Building in the background there. This is the Student Union Building that is also called the Richmond Building, which has got a really brand new cafe, and it houses some sports facilities and the swimming pool as well as sort of things like the Centre for Innovation and our balloon bar, cafe, restaurant, pub, all available in there. And I always like to finish with a balloon. That is that. So that is my email address. That's my Bristol email address. So I'll just stop sharing my screen now. Or actually, I'll just leave it on for a second while if anyone wants to write my email address down. But I think that sort of gives you a really good overview of what to expect. I know that quite a few of you already have applied and have offers. And what we really want to sort of do is just to reassure you that, the university is here to provide help, support, guidance. We have had over the last, I don't know, I would say 10, 20 years, we have had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students from Latin America, and particularly from Mexico. Mexico is one of the biggest sending countries in Latin America to our university. And so you would have a really welcoming, friendly community when you arrive. We are really experienced of working with sort of students from not just Mexico, but all of Latin America. And yes, we look forward to welcoming you this year. We hope that obviously next year will be a little bit back to normal compared to this year. This year's obviously been very different to most years, but in a way coming next year will obviously be a little bit of an advantage to this year. You won't miss out on as many of the events that would traditionally happen in the year. So I hope that was helpful. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A section. We'd be obviously happy to answer them. There are no silly questions. There is no such thing as a silly question. So anything you want to know, just let us know. Right. David, do you have anything to add? I suppose I haven't missed anything out, maybe?
No, I think that was very comprehensive, Gary. Thank you very much. No, I think you covered all things that we discussed prior to. I see we've got a couple of questions coming in, so that's helpful. Maybe I'll think of one as we go through. But first question is, do we have any fully funded PhD scholarships? That's from an anonymous attendee. Gary, I don't know if we can help with that one.
Well, so not fully funded. Well, the university does. Well, so there's a couple of questions about scholarships I can see here. So we'll answer them both at the same time. Well, there is actually some quite exciting news regarding scholarships. So the University of Bristol has been selected by the British Council and has recently won a scholarship award. Now, I'm just going to where have I put this? Here it is, scholarships. So for those female applicants among us who are interested in STEM subjects, the University of Bristol has won 5 fully funded scholarships of around £35,000 from the British Council, and those are for women who are interested. There has to be for women, I'm afraid. I'm sorry to any of the male colleagues who are here, but if anybody is interested in studying bioinformatics, biomedical sciences research, public health, epidemiology, climate change science and policy, or environmental policy and management, the University of Bristol has won 5 British Council Women in STEM scholarships. So those are something that was only announced a couple of days ago, and that is specifically for students, or for I'm afraid for only for women, but for women in the Americas, which is great. Which is obviously great for us and at Bristol. But aside from that, now those are obviously very specific scholarships, but aside from that, the university does offer a range of scholarships, and those scholarships are called Think Big. Okay, now the Think Big scholarships, anybody can apply for. If you are an undergraduate student, a postgrad or master's student, or a doctorado, or PhD student, any student can apply for those. All you need to do is you go onto the University of Bristol's website, you type in Think Big, and you can see all the application there. All you have to do to apply for those scholarships is to answer 3 simple questions. We do not look at your academic background. We do not look at anything else. We don't care about your nationality. All we look at is your answers to those 3 questions. So you need to carefully read those questions and try and give a good answer to them, because they are, obviously the scholarships are quite competitive. There is a lot of people who are applying for them. With the question about fully funded PhD scholarships, typically, no, they're not going to be fully funded. The Think Big would offer quite a large discount. We do accept a lot of PhD students in Mexico, at Bristol from Mexico, who come using CONACYT funding. So I'm sure you all know Consejo Nacional de Ciencias y Tecnología. So CONACYT funding is a very big source, and CONACYT have sent hundreds of students to Bristol for both masters and PhDs over the last sort of 10 years or so. And that we are, we have an agreement with them that offers a discount and obviously funding for students. So that is something that you can do. So we have the Women in STEM scholarships. The university offers its own Think Big scholarships, and then obviously things like CONACYT and other types of funding are available. David, I'm not
Just
sure
to
if
add
I
to that,
missed.
Gary, sorry.
Yes, fire away.
The other funders that we've been working with closely. So Pronabec in Peru, I don't know where everyone's from. In Colombia, we work with Colfutura and Colciencias, and in all the countries in Central and South America, we're working closely with funding bodies and national funders to support both PhDs and master's studies. So we can support you with that and advise you on the options for local funding opportunities where Bristol is collaborating very closely with those funders.
Yes, I see a question here about the STEM scholarships and whether they're just for postgraduate. I think they are just for postgraduate. I don't think they're for undergraduate, although I may be wrong. We've only just received the information about these. It's master scholarships. Yes, I'm afraid these are only for maestrías. We've only recently been given that information. So yes, now the Maria Mercedes, who's asking about scholarships. So Think Big scholarships that the university offers are also available for undergraduates and postgraduates and PhDs. So they're available for everybody. All you have to do is you have to go onto the University of Bristol website and type in, you just need to type in Think Big and all the information is there. A question from Tatiana about, is there an application fee? No. I think for like 99% of our programs, there is no application fee, and particularly not for Latin American students. So no, it's easy and it is very easy to apply. All you do is you contact Anglo Latino. They will help you, tell you what you need to do, and you can get your application in. That's really easy. Orlando from Colombia. Hello, Orlando. David and I have both spent time in Colombia. I travel to Colombia usually twice a year. And I spend most of my time obviously in Bogota, but I've also been to Medellin, and I would like to go to Cali as well. If you don't meet the English requirements, do they have pre-sessional courses? Yes, they do. So pre-sessional courses are available, and they will start. Those pre-sessional courses will start, and it really depends on your level of English. So if your English is very, very good and you just need a little bit of help, they may start, I say, like only 4 or 6 weeks before the start of your course. If you need a little bit of additional help, they can start anything from sort of like, 10, maybe even 20 weeks ahead of the start of your course. So it really just depends what you need, because we can cater for whatever it is you need. And for Colombia, we have a very strong agreement with Colfuturo. So Orlando, so I'm not sure if you're interested in coming to Bristol, but we have a very strong agreement with Colfuturo. And again, if you are interested in applying, contact Anglo Latino, and David and his team can help you and support you with that application. And that's how we can sort of, that's why we have a lot of Colombian, an increasing number of Colombian students coming to the University of Bristol, which is great because it means that David and I can go back again. Is it affordable to live in Bristol? Well, it really will. Obviously, that depends what you mean by affordable. But yes, I mean, London is obviously the capital of England and is the most expensive place to live in the UK. Bristol is a lot cheaper than London, but it's still a little bit more expensive than maybe some other parts of the UK. But that's because it's a very, very nice place to live, and very, very nice places to live cost a little more. However, if you come to Bristol as a student, you would obviously get cheap rates for a lot of things. You would get a student card, which would give you a lot of discounts at a lot of different shops and restaurants and things in the city. Obviously, we help and support students with things like accommodation and fees and those kind of things. So, when you talk to us and you tell us about, we will get what you want to come and do and where you want to study and what accommodation you want to stay in, then we will give you exact prices and details, and students generally are fine because they are looked after by the university. And so the answer to that is yes. I mean, on a normal student budget, so our students are usually absolutely fine. David, there's maybe one here that you want to. So Maria Mercedes says, once you get an offer, what is the next step?
Yes, okay, I'm happy to handle that. Well, yeah, the first step would be to accept it, Maria, would be my advice. When you get an offer from the university, that they give you a time frame normally to accept the offer. And even when it's a conditional offer, you're asked to accept that offer. That doesn't mean you're contractually obliged to attend the university, but it does indicate your intention to come to Bristol. Then you would check any conditions you need to meet and do those over time. Traditionally, in this part of the world, students normally need to get the English language level. Some students already have the English language requirements satisfied in their application, but not always, and it's not a requirement. You do need to satisfy the English language requirement to then attend the university, but not for application. Once you've accepted, then you can also, the other key thing would be to apply for scholarships. So Think Big, that Gary already mentioned. We don't need to have accepted the offer for Think Big, but we do need to have made the application. So with an application for the course, we can then apply to Think Big. So the scholarships, once you've accepted and applied for the Think Big scholarship, we can look at other scholarship opportunities in your country through the advice that we can offer here locally in Mexico and Latin America. And then guide you through. The very final step is the visa. But yeah, I would say the very first thing to do is accept your offer. You have your offer in the bag, and then you can work on the other steps that need to be taken to make sure you are able to attend Bristol on the start date of your program.
Okay, fantastic. So Andrea is asking a very good question. What do you consider most important in a personal statement? Well, Andrea, and that is a question that we get quite a lot, the most important aspect of the personal statement is interest in the program, the subject you are applying for. So if you are applying for, let's say, a master's degree in international relations and politics, we don't really want to know about your swimming certificates or the fact that you are an Olympic level swimmer. That is a very noble thing. It's very good. It's amazing, but it's not relevant to the application. In the UK, the critical thing is an interest in the subject you're applying for. So if you are applying for an undergraduate degree in physics, we would want to know what it is about physics you like, what interests you about it, maybe what you've read or studied or researched, maybe what you want to do with that subject in the future. Maybe you're applying for a master's degree in climate change and environmental studies or something like that. Well, we want to know why it is you've chosen that subject, why you're interested in it, why maybe you think that your country or the region of your country or your city needs expertise or guidance or support in that area. It's related to the subject. That is what is most important. A very good rule, I would say, is that 75% of your personal statement should be very much focused around the subject you're applying for. And then the last 25% might talk about maybe some leadership qualities or extracurricular activities or group work projects that you've done that aren't directly related. But the most important is the interest in the subject you are applying for. It doesn't matter what that is. If you're applying to study medicine, we don't expect you to be a doctor already. We just expect you to have an interest in the subject, talk about what it is that interests you, what it is you're excited about studying, those kind of things. For a project management master's at Bristol, do they ask for some work experience? I don't think so, Christian. I'd have to get back to you on that one, but I don't think we do. It's not that common for us to ask for work experience. Typically, we don't look at work experience for those kind of areas. Depending on what you want to do, Christian, if you're potentially interested in the sort of management, but maybe also starting your own business, you might want to look at our management with innovation undergraduate degrees or our innovation and entrepreneurship master's degrees, because those may be something you're interested in. I don't know, but we also offer a range of sort of management masters as well. But no, typically we don't ask for work experience. So from Vic Jimenez, I'm interested in PhD. Can I get a job? Okay, well, under the terms of your visa, you are allowed to work, but you're only allowed to work 20 hours a week, 40 hours during the holiday. What I would say is that if you're coming to the UK and say a university like Bristol, and you're going to do something like a PhD, that's quite an intense piece of work that you're going, or research particularly, that you're going to be doing. And what you really don't have a lot of time to do is to work full time. I don't think, David, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think that if you bring a spouse or another half with you on a sort of student visa that they are allowed to work. I don't think that is the case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can they work?
No, they are. We've had students.
Oh.
Yeah, we've had students in the past who've come with their spouses, and yeah, they could work potentially full time. Or I do know a couple from locally here in Querétaro, Mexico, who, yeah, the husband, the wife was doing the PhD, and the husband got 2 part-time jobs. So yes, they were able to live. The critical thing is that for the visa, you need to be able to demonstrate you can cover the cost of living both for yourself and for your partner and other dependents. In Mexico, they don't strictly enforce that. They're not requiring you to produce any financial evidence that you can support yourself during your studies, but that is a requirement for the visa. So you can't come to the UK and put on your visa application, I will work part-time to fund my living expenses or my studies. That they simply won't give you they won't grant you the visa. So yeah, there are those opportunities to work for your spouse, particularly during your stay in the UK.
Okay. And then finally, we've got a question here from Martin Ortiz. He's asking about privately funded scholarships paid for by a corporation on the condition that you work for them once you graduate. To be honest, it's not specifically by corporations, Martin. That's not something I have heard of before. I have heard of scholarships for Latin American students maybe paid for by the government, whereby you may have to go back and work in a certain government business or industry, but specific to a specific corporation, I'm afraid that's not something I am aware of. That might be some sort of research you might need to do. Maybe if you're interested, I don't know, say going into maybe accountancy or something, maybe you do some research in some of the firms to see if they offer funding, but that's not something that I have heard of before, I'm afraid.
I was just coming on that one, Gary. We have had people from Mexico in particular who are supported by local companies here. For a sponsor, companies need to fulfill certain criteria for the visa, but we have had students sponsored by, for example, aerospace companies here in, again, I'm talking very locally here in Querétaro in Mexico, but not very many examples, but they're not directly linked to the university itself. But as Gary said, if you're working for a company that's prepared to sponsor you, that is perfectly feasible and will comply with visa regulations, and we can double check that for you to make sure that will work.
Great. And then a question from Laura Pacheco. How many recommendation letters should we add to the application? Well, it depends on, must be all academic. I'm interested in the LLM, but more professional people at the time been working. Yeah, so this is kind of a common question that we get, so particularly from students who may have, finished their education several years ago and have now been doing work for a long time. Now, we usually ask for a master's degree, for an LLM, for example, we usually ask for 2 references. And for those students who maybe say, I haven't been in education for a long time or for several years, we often say to them, well, okay, it would be fine if one of those was a professional reference, but ideally we would like at least 1 academic reference. So if there was somebody that you could contact at the school or the university, that would be ideal. If it is absolutely impossible, for whatever reason, then you would just have to send 2 professional ones. But usually what we would say is 1 professional, 1 academic is fine. If I accept an offer, can I defer my entry? Yes, you can. That is something that is done quite a lot. So students can go through the application process. This happens quite a lot where maybe students are applying for something like CONACYT funding or a different type of funding, and maybe for whatever reason they're unsuccessful 1 year, or personal circumstances get in the way and they're unable to sort of take that funding. So yes, you can apply for an offer, you can apply for a course, receive an offer, accept the offer, and then defer. That's something that happens quite a lot and is very, very normal. All right. Well, some very good questions, people. I think what I would say, I think what I would say to everyone is that, if you haven't already applied, there is absolutely no harm in applying. It's not going to cost you anything. You're not going to lose anything. If you are interested, you can apply. And as we've just said, if for whatever reason you're unable to come to university, you can always defer the offer. I find that a lot of students in Latin America that both David and I have worked with over this, they're sometimes a little bit nervous about applying and about putting themselves forward, but the UK is really friendly and supportive. When we receive an application, we don't look at it and think, oh, this application doesn't have an IELTS. That's terrible. We look at it and go, okay, thank you for your application. We'd love you to come and study with us. These are the things that you need to do. Maybe these are the academic qualifications that you need. Maybe this is the English level that you need. So we help and support you through the process. So don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Just apply.
Yeah. I think we said before, guys, so many people think they have to have everything absolutely perfect before they can apply. And that's simply not the case. If you're still studying right now, you can still apply for entry in September 2021. That's what UK and European students do. They're applying for places when they haven't yet finished their studies in their own country. So yeah, don't feel you have to be with the perfect documents and everything entirely ready. As I mentioned, you don't need the IELTS to apply. You can get that later. And you don't need to have even completed your academic program of study right now. You can give us your current grades, and based on that information, the university will make you an offer if you look like you're fulfilling the academic requirements of the program. So you have nothing to lose, but once you have an offer, that's a great motivation for you to complete the requirements specified in any offer letter you receive.
Yes. I'm just going to go back through these. I think we've covered most of these things. So scholarships, as we've said, think big. Just go to the University of Bristol website, type in think big. And again, you can apply for these scholarships for free. It's completely free to apply. You have to have applied to the University of Bristol first, which again is free. And as we've just said, you don't need to have all the documents. So we make this as easy as possible for you. And that's probably why we've had so many really, really good Latin American students. We accept students from all over the world. We never ever, when we are looking at applications, we never ever look at your nationality. We never say, oh, you're from, I don't know, Uruguay, so we're not going to make you an offer, but this student over here from Mexico, we are. Those things never matter in the UK. All that matters is, are you a good student? So we don't mind if you come from the Tierra del Fuego or you come from Tijuana. It really is irrelevant, okay? Doesn't make any difference to us. It's all we're looking at is good students, and we want you to apply. We want you to come and be successful with this. I see we've got another question here. When do I have to apply? Oh, sorry. When do I have to apply if I'm planning to study in the university in 2021? Now. Apply today. I mean, there is nothing, Sebastian, you might be thinking, well, I'm still studying one of my course and I haven't finished that yet, or maybe I'm waiting for my IELTS exam, or I haven't got my reference letters yet. Doesn't matter. If you are applying to study in 2021, applications are open from September 2020. So from 1 year before, applications are open, and it is best to apply early, because if you apply early, first of all, it is free. And then secondly, the university says, thank you for your application. These are all of the things that you need to do to be successful with your application. And then you can follow those steps, those sort of simple steps to sort of get your application done. So Sebastian, when do I have to apply? There is no specific time that you have to do it, but the earlier the better. And you don't have to have all the documents, okay? No, if you apply and say you're missing a reference or you're missing the IELTS, that will not be seen as a bad thing. Nobody at the university will look at that and think this is bad. They will just look at that and say, oh, okay, this is an application from Sebastian. He looks like a good student. In order to come, Sebastian, you'll need to send us this, 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 and this. And that's all they will say, okay? Let me just do that. Let's say I go, so Guillermo, let's say I go with any government support from Mexico so I don't have to work for them in the end. Is it possible to stay and work in the UK for a period of time in an enterprise after graduation? David, would you like to talk about the 2-year post-study work visa?
Yeah, sure. We can talk about the post-study work visa, but certainly, excuse me, on as regards CONACYT, if you're getting CONACYT government funding from Mexico, contractually you're obliged to return to Mexico for at least 6 months, and to be in looking for work. You don't have to necessarily be in work in Mexico before you can liberarte from the obligations of the scholarship. Otherwise, you may have to repay it. So that is something you would need to take into account. You have to come back to Mexico for at least 6 months contractually if you have a CONICET scholarship. Having said that, the UK is introducing new legislation, which we expect to come into force for 2021, or the end of 2020, academic year 2021, which will allow international students on completion of their program of studies to stay on in the UK for a further 2 years to work in the UK post-graduation. So that's another attraction for students considering the UK as an option, Bristol in particular, where opportunities for work can be very strong, is that you have the option, once you fulfill any scholarship obligations you have through the contract, to extend your visa for up to 2 years to stay on and work in the UK. So as long as you comply with the scholarship requirements, yes, you can stay on and do something do work in the UK.
Okay. So a very good question from Andres Cabrera. Does the university require that the student has a private international health insurance, or can it be obtained through the university? Well, Andres, in the UK, we have something called the NHS, which is the NHS, the National Health Service. As part of your visa application, the NHS in the UK means that everybody in the UK has free healthcare. So, for example, I live in the UK, I am English, I'm British. If I am walking down the street and I fall over and I break my leg, I go to the hospital, they fix my leg, and it is free. Everything is free in the UK, all of our healthcare. As part of your application for your student visa, you would need to pay a small NHS fee that is part of the visa process, which is a few £100s. And then after you have paid that fee, you as a student would be considered a British citizen. And if you have any health problems, it is all completely free and covered by the NHS, the National Health Service, which is great. So you do not have to have private health insurance. If you want to take out additional health insurance, you of course can, that is your decision, but you don't need it. You're completely covered by the National Health Service. Are the offers for foundation year accepted in the same way as the other offers? Well, again, you would just, you can speak to Anglo Latino. They can support you and help you to put an application through. It's slightly different because you're applying to our foundation provider, but our foundation year takes place at the University of Bristol. So it is a little bit different. In fact, I'd probably say it's slightly easier to apply for a foundation, because obviously the level of qualifications that you need to have is slightly lower. But yes, just contact Anglo Latino, so contact David and his team, and you'll be able to apply, no problem for that. Right. Soon I will do my master's degree exam. Would I need the original title certificate to apply for a PhD, or is a letter from the school enough? David, do you maybe want to take that one?
Yes. Quite traditionally, both in Mexico and other Latin America, the process to get your degree certificate or your titulo can be quite a long and drawn out process. So yes, the university will accept full and final transcripts for an unconditional offer, and then a letter, a carta de constancia, something like that, which confirms that you have or your exam, your Viva exam certificate. Those two things will confirm that you have graduated from your current program of studies, pending the issue of your final degree certificate. And that's enough both for the university and also sufficient for funding bodies such as CONICET, Pronobec, and others in the region. So again, any and all documents you have that you're using to make the application, as Gary has been saying, we check in my office here with the team at Anglo Latino, who we work with closely. We will check all your documents. I will personally give them a final check before you upload them onto the portal to make sure that the documents you're providing satisfy the documentary requirements for the program you're applying to.
Okay. Now, this is probably the most Latin American question I've ever read, which is, when is the very last possible date or deadline to send in an application? Which is, I apologize, but it's the most stereotypical Latin American question. I mean, I suppose the very latest date for an undergraduate degree would be like around May, June time, I suppose. I mean, technically we can accept people in August for a September start if they go through the clearing system for internationals. For masters, you'd be looking around June, July. But Mariana Martinez, please don't wait. Do not leave it to the last minute. This is, as I said before, you do not have to wait. To apply to the UK and to most universities and to Bristol is free. You do not have to have all of the documents. If you are thinking of maybe coming to the University of Bristol in September 2021, but you're not really 100% sure that you definitely will, you can apply today. And for no money, send in as many documents as you've got for the course. And then if you think, you know, maybe later down the line in a couple of months, oh, actually, maybe I'll need to defer, you can just do that. Or maybe you think, oh, it's not right for me. That's fine. If you leave it very, very late, what will happen is you'll put yourself in a very high pressure, high stress situation where you'll need to do everything very, very quickly. Things like applying for your visa, things like applying, you know, for your accommodation. You will just give yourself a huge amount of stress when you do not need to. You can get everything done early for free. And look, as Vic Jimenez is saying, he has already started his experience with Anglo Latino, and it is fantastic. He's got brilliant people helping him with his application. And again, all of this is provided for free. So please do it. So Mariana, sorry to be tough on you there, but you know, don't wait to the last minute. I know it's the Latin American way, but don't do it. Just apply now. It's free and it's easy. We want you to come, but if you leave it to the last minute, it's what's it the Brazilians say? Dar jeitinho. We'll find a way. We'll find a way of getting it done. But we don't want you to do that. We want you to be organized and advanced and early. An anonymous question about the offer. I'll probably respond to that by writing. There's been a miss offer. Okay, that's fine. We can change that, no problem. Basically, from our anonymous attendee who's applied for 2021, but they've got the wrong offer date. That's fine. Just email whoever sent you the offer letter. So that will have come from one of the admissions teams at the university. Just say, I've been sent an offer for this date, but I actually would like to defer to 2021. And yes, they can do that for you, no problem. Just email the admissions team. Oop. There we go. All right, this is great. This has been brilliant. Lots of questions. This is brilliant. 31 questions so far. Oh, actually 34. So I hope that has helped everybody. As I say, so we don't seem to have too many more questions coming in. David, do you have anything you want to sort of add before we wrap up, or are you?
No, I don't. I think the questions have helped very much, haven't they? The people have asked questions. I think the key message is, as you were just saying, don't wait for application deadlines. I mean, the deadline is the last possible moment you can apply, but particularly if you're looking for funding. And then people tend to get very worried about the visa. When's the visa? How long is the visa going to take me? The visa doesn't take very long, but the later you leave it, the less time you have to sort out finance and the visa. So apply early with an offer in hand. Then we can see all the other options, all the other steps you need to take, and do that in a calm way, so that we can ensure that, as well as getting the offer, you actually are able to register at the university come September 2021.
Right, I'm just okay, I'll answer this question from Andres by writing, and then David, do you want to say any advice for academic references from Emma? I'm not sure.
Okay, yeah, sure. The academic references, there is a format that you can download from the university website that will ask them specific questions. What that format will say is they'll want the referee to comment on your academic ability, your ability to work independently in the UK, especially at master's and PhD level. You're going to be working very independently. So comments on your quality of your academic performance previously, and an assessment by the referee of your ability to work independently and take responsibility for your learning, which is a big part of the experience you'll have at Bristol. So those are two key areas, and just comment on your strengths and your abilities. And generally the references we get written freehand. Most referees send their references on letterheaded paper. That's very important, and we need to know the position of the referee in that organization, their relationship to you, how long known you. But yeah, generally the ones we receive are great. There's very few occasions when the admissions teams need to go back and contact the referee for more information. So again, we do check these documents before you upload them. So if there is anything missing, we'll let you know. But yeah, those are the key things: your academic ability, your ability to work independently, and your relationship to the referee are the important things.
Yeah. So, well, we don't have any further questions. Well, listen, we hope we've answered everything that you want. If you leave this webinar and you think, oh, I forgot to ask something, or I wish I'd asked about something else, look, you can always email us. We're always happy to get your emails, and we'll do our best to obviously answer those questions. If we can't answer them, we will find somebody that can. And yeah, I think that's it. Oh, thank you very much, Maria. Our pleasure.
Oh, just a thank you. Thank you, Maria. Yes.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Well, yeah.
Well, Gary, many thanks.
Well, my pleasure, and I wish you all a Merry Christmas. I know we're almost there. So yes, wish you all a Merry Christmas, and let's hope that next 2021 is a slightly better year than 2020. And yeah, we look forward to receiving your applications and seeing you all in Bristol in September.
Yes. Okay. Many thanks, Gary. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Take care and see you all soon. Bye.
Bye for now. Cheers, Gary.